Hi, we're going to talk about going from an improper fraction to a mixed fraction, and from mixed fractions to an improper fractions. Or as I like to say, there and back again. So let's get started. So I could show you what 1 1/2 means, and 4 5/6 means, and 7 3/8 means. I could show you what that looks like, but really, you're probably concerned with how to do the question, how to change it from a mixed to an improper. So let's do that. Let's start with 1 1/2. So I just wrote it down off to the side over here, just so that we have the question. And so it is 2 times 1. So 2 times 1 is 2. And then add the top. So 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1, which is 3. And we'll notice that our denominators, the bottom parts, that hasn't changed. It still remains 2. So if we look at the next question, which is 4 5/6, and it hasn't changed, so it's the multiplication and then the addition. Bedmas tells us that we always do multiplications first. And as I said before, the denominators, the bottom part, that doesn't change. So it is still 6. So 6 times 4 is 24, plus 5 is 29. We don't have to worry about putting it into lowest terms at this point, since all we're trying to do is change from a mixed fraction to an improper. Typically, for your final answer, you always want your final answer to be in lowest terms. Now the last one, which is 7 3/8, and that equals, and remember, the bottom part, which is the 8, that doesn't change. It stays the same. So it's 7 times 8 plus the 3. So 7 times 8 is 56 plus 3, which is 59. Going from an improper to a mixed. Probably a little more difficult to explain, but let's do it. We just need to remember that every fraction is really just a division question. So this is 7 divided by 4. So when we do 7 divided by 4, it's going to give us 1 and a bunch of decimal places. But the decimal is where the fractions come in. As I noted before, the denominator, it doesn't change. So the denominator is still 4. Now this is the weird part. If we look at the original fraction, the top part was 7. So the top part is still there. Nothing just magically disappears. So 1 times 4 ends up being 4, so that's what we're going to take away. So our final answer is 1 and 7 minus 4, which is 3. The denominator, that doesn't change. It's 1 4. And just as a side note, actually on your calculator, you're going to get 1.75, which is the same thing as 1 3/4. We are going to do it again. So it's 8 over 4, which is 8 divided by 4, which ends up being 2. And that's what you're going to get on your calculator. But let's do exactly what we've done before. So the denominator, that doesn't change. And you have 8 pieces in the top. That doesn't magically go away. There is no magic in life. And you're going to subtract 2 times 4, whatever that answer is. 2 times 4 ends up being 8. So the answer is 2 and 0 over 4. And 0 over 4 is the same thing as saying 0, so you don't really need to include it. So I could just say that my answer is equal to 2. And one more big one. So 57 over 3, that's the same thing as 57 divided by 3. (57 divided by 3 ends up being 19, which is this part here. And then the denominator, the bottom part, that doesn't change, as I've said before. So it is 3. We have 57 in the top. And then we're going to take away whatever 19 times 3 is. As it happens, it's 57. So again, now we have 19 is equal to 57 subtract 57, which is 0 over 3. And I could just write down 19. But I want to do one more. So I'm going to do 58 over 3. So we're going to look up. And then we're going to do this question. So really, it is 58 divided by 3. So as we found out before, 58 divided by 3 is going to be 19 and some decimal places. So the answer is 19. And then the bottom part, which is 3, that doesn't change. And there's 58 pieces in the top. So now we're going to do 19 times 3, which ends up being 57. So 58, which is in the top part, minus the 19 times 3. So 58 subtract 57 is 1. So that will be our answer, 19 and 1 over 3. So why do we go from improper to mixed and mixed to improper? So the nice thing about being in a mixed fraction is it typically is in our lowest terms. For improper fractions, I use improper fractions for multiplications and divisions. I like to use them for subtractions. I might as well just use them for additions as well. So as soon as I see a mixed fraction, I'm going to change it into an improper.